How's it going? My name is Matt Lemaster. I'm the pastor of Southern Heights Christian Church in Anderson, Indiana, and I'm making a series of videos to help married couples to have healthier marriages, but also maybe to help engaged couples have a healthy marriage as they're going forward. And so we've spent a lot of time talking about a lot of different topics that have to do with marriage. At this point, I'm just going to ask that you go back and listen to those if you need to ask questions. But today we want to lay a foundation that I'm going to ask how that applies to a certain problem. So we talked about this in these previous videos that Christian marriage is meant to be a replay of the gospel, a drama of the gospel, where the husband sacrifices himself for the sake of his bride, and the bride submits to her husband out of honor towards him to honor him as Christ. So we want to ask, how does that apply to conflict? How does that apply to conflict? Well, the Song of Solomon, his book in the Old Testament, has a lot of wisdom about this. It says this: "Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that spoil the vineyards, for our vineyards are in blossom." When grapes are blossom, they have a blossom and then they eventually produce fruit. And what Solomon is saying is that there are these little foxes that will come and eat the blossom before it has a chance to produce fruit. In your marriage, there are issues which will threaten to steal the life and the joy out of your marriage if you don't catch them early. And so Christians are called to initiate reconciliation between one another. And so Christians are called to deal with conflict this way. And so the first way that we deal with conflict is every Christian spouse has to just have this commitment when they see a fox that's going to steal life from the garden to go and deal with it. Now, you might deal with it in your heart and say, "God, that's not fair for me to hold this against my wife or my husband. I'm going to just give that to you." But if it is on your heart and you can't get rid of it, you need to go and talk to your spouse. If it's something they've done to bother you or annoy you, you need to bring that up and broach that. Now, here is why we laid this foundation first. If you are a husband, it is important for you to sacrifice yourself for the sake of your bride, which means that you will be the first to take responsibility. You ought to be the first to initiate this process. You ought to be the first to say, "You know what, there is more of you take more responsibility than you think you maybe even deserve." If you are the male, God has called you to lay down your life for your spouse, which means you should be okay taking more of the blame on than your spouse does. Now, if you are a wife, you're called to submit to your husband, which means you should be quick to show forgiveness towards him. You should be quick to support him and help him. You should try to take his side and see it from his point of view. And if you need to apologize after he apologizes, apologize. This is an easy thing to say, but it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work of different spouses learning to lay down their lives and to serve one another. But when we do it, it has this picture of the gospel so that our children, our friends, our family, our neighbors, everyone can see this couple. They maybe fight, but they know how to get through it. And that is a powerful witness to the gospel of Jesus Christ. So a little bit of homework, a couple questions for you. First off, when was the last time you fought? When was the last time you fought? How could you have fought in a way that was better? Second question, is there any foxes in your life that are threatening to steal the life out of your relationship between you two? What are the things that your spouse does which steal the life out of your relationship, which just get on your nerves and annoy you? What are the things that your spouse does which maybe they could do better? What are things that you know are on your heart and on your mind that stand between you and your spouse? Why don't you two talk about that, and we'll see you in the next video.